Hello, everybody. I'm a practicing therapist and I'm also a doctoral student of psychology. Today, I wanted to go over a specific phenomenon that does happen. It happens a lot with both female and male avoidance, dismissive or fearful avoidance. And what it is they choose you emotionally and mentally, but they're frozen to make the next official step that is verbal commitment to some extent, even though they are committed emotionally, but you might not be aware of it. And I want to talk about two scenarios where this is most prominent. It's where you are romantically involved with this person, physically, emotionally, and maybe you guys even go on scheduled dates or you guys talk often, text often. You see each other fairly regularly. And you kind of are open that you're in a relationship, but there is no label. There's no girlfriend, boyfriend, husband, wife. That is one type of scenario. Now, the one that is more common with you guys, based on the calls that I've had with you guys, is you guys are friends. And I've called you guys out on this, by the way. Like a lot of you guys start, doubting it, but it's not really friends. It's called friends, but you guys are sometimes physically intimate. You guys are romantic. You guys have been physically intimate in the past. And you guys see each other pretty frequently. You're open with each other. You might even say things to each other like you're the person I talk to the most. It might be that the situation is where you guys might open up to each other fairly frequently and you talk pretty much daily or very frequently. Maybe you see each other very frequently. And so these are two scenarios where there is something, obviously, but the next step has not been taken yet. And sometimes for somebody who's in the situation, you might think, well, when is this next step going to happen? You might think, am I allowed to date other people? Should I tell them I'm dating other people? What is the scenario that really should be occurring in this relationship? And the reality of it is every situation is different. However, I'm going to talk about 5 components that I notice as to why avoidants hesitate to take this next step. The first one is actually a fear of failure, okay? It means that they fail from their angle, where they feel like maybe they chose the wrong person. They're afraid of that. They're just hesitant to see that they made a mistake. So, for example, if you guys, they do admit that they love you and care about you, and maybe you say that this relationship isn't working and you feel like they can't meet you where you're at, or they might feel like the relationship isn't working, or you guys end up getting divorced for whatever reason, they will feel like they are a failure. They picked the wrong person. There's something wrong with them. They're defective. Obviously, no one can predict relationships. So this one is incredibly critical of them towards themselves. But they grew up in a very critical environment and they get very confused as to how they can cope with that. They don't trust themselves that they can cope with it, but they also don't trust you. And that's where the next piece comes from. They actually fear increased expectations, which is normal. Expectations will increase, but they fear that to where they are afraid it will lead to criticism, failure, and even you leaving them. So this is tricky because a lot of people who are not avoidant cannot tell the difference between what an expectation looks like and what it doesn't, because you don't feel like it's too much to ask, so you don't realize that it's an increased expectation. You feel like it's pretty normal. And if anyone is struggling with any of these things in general about an avoidant partner and you're not really sure how to move forward, what's going on, you can book a call with me. That's pinned in the comments. You can also ask a question. You can specifically write whatever you want. I'm the only person that sees this, so you can write whatever you need to prep prior to the session if you like, pinned in the comments. But this increased expectation could even be that you're expecting them to admit when they're upset at you. A lot of avoidants don't admit when they're upset. They deny it. They might not even know it. And then they're distant or detached for a reason that you don't really you're not really sure of, so you're expecting, can you tell me? But to them, they don't tell anyone their feelings, and so to them that's an increased expectation due to the fact that they have feelings for you. That's how they connect it, even though that's not necessarily true. It's just that the bond is getting stronger between you guys, and so you would expect that a little bit. It's not necessarily that they like you, it's that you guys have a bond together, but they kind of take it more personal. And so I think because they like you, now you're expecting more because you can get something out of them. It's a very negative version of it. Not all of them are that extreme, but that's how they feel. The next one is that they are not financially in a place for the relationship. A lot of avoidants feel this way, particularly male avoidants, where they feel like relationships do cost money. But even if there's like a crisis where somebody has an issue or you need to take off work to be there for them, that's still costing money. There's a lot of situations where relationships will cost money. You can't work as hard either. This is something that I learned from my own relationship. You can't just work and do so many things all at once. You can't neglect your relationship. And this is something that anyone who used to be avoidant realized pretty quickly in a relationship. You have to remove some of the effort you put into work, not effort, but time you put into work to put that onto your significant other, your family, etc. And so they do know that they will lose out on potential opportunities. They can't take every single business opportunity. They cannot take every networking event too seriously or, go to every single one because they have somebody at home or in their relationship. And so the reality is they will financially lose in some point, and they are afraid that they will not be in a place financially to where they can cover for that potential loss. The next one is that they have family issues, grief, or stress that keeps them too occupied to be in a relationship. This is tricky because usually if this is what happened, it's kind of difficult for even you to navigate. It's a really unfortunate circumstance. This one is the most difficult to resolve because there are actual family situations where genuinely being in a relationship can make it very tricky because they are grieving and they're not really their best self. And that could give you the wrong idea. Or let's say they're taking care of their sick mother or father. They genuinely have to be there as often as possible for this particular time because they don't know what's going to happen. They could lose this person. And so it is a very tricky one. This is a common reason why avoidants also break up with somebody. If you're in a relationship with them and this starts occurring, I would recommend that maybe don't push for the next step until this removes himself, because if you push for the next step at this point, they could break up with you or leave you. So rather stay in this kind of limbo situation until this resolves, because it will resolve. This one is an external factor. The other ones are not necessarily so external. Even the financial situation, you can always reassure them that you don't need certain things or you won't be expecting certain things. That can help. But this one, it's very hard to resolve unless that time has passed. So keep that one in mind. And the last one is the most common one, but it usually is simultaneous with some of these other ones. A lot of these are overlapping as well. This one is they're waiting for information. They're waiting for more information on your compatibility. Are you guys compatible? Do you guys have areas where it's going to be such a clash that you can no longer continue a healthy relationship? It can be how you view parenting. It can be how you view emotional regulation, how you view career, what you want for your life, things like that. And so this is something that if you're more aware of, you can try and pay attention to. And I'll probably make a follow-up video on how to resolve these things. I have made videos on how to resolve these things, but I can make an updated one. But if you want a specific call with me, that's pinned in the comments. I hope this video is helpful to somebody. Please like, subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.